Last year, we had 60% year-over-year growth, and this year, we will have 60% year-over-year growth, which I think is a really big statement. One big key thing is that sometimes you may have a great technology, but the market is not ready. So the thing is, okay, you have to be patient with yourself, but you also have to be patient with your market.
My guest today is Jennifer Bittinger. Jennifer is the president and founder of Narrativa AI. Jennifer, welcome to the pod, and thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Nabil. Thank you. It's great to be here today with you. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. And can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and the company and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So there's so much to tell, but I'll try to keep it short and sweet. A little bit about Narrativa, my company that I am the president and co-founder. I have three other co-founders with me. Narrativa, we are actually 10 years old. That sounds very old for an AI tech company. We were founded in 2015. We originally started with wanting to create a platform, a proprietary platform, using NLG and NLP capabilities back then to really generate different types of text content. We call it smart content from different types of data. So you could go, with public data or proprietary data and turn it into whether that was a financial report, sales report, a long tail, short tail article, white paper, or even a clinical study report, like for a clinical trial in pharmaceuticals. So we really wanted to perfect the data mapping process, right? If you really want to go into the nitty gritty of how to use data in the most powerful way. And that has been our mission. That's been our mantra. Since 2015, we have grown. We haven't grown really quickly, which I think is actually good. And for all other founders listening, I always say speed is not always your friend, especially when it comes to new technologies like AI. We thought we were way too early in the game of AI because we had quite a few other AI vendors, competitors who did not survive during the journey. But then when LLMs started coming out and then OpenAI, we realized that we had to be specialists. We had to really narrow our focus and focus on the most highly regulated areas like clinical trials and even finance, and how we could become specialists to get a writer, let's say a medical writer, full 100% data accurate report in the first draft. So that's kind of where we've gone. I'll go into a lot more today, but that's who Narrativa is. And now a little bit about my background. I ironically did not come from the world of pharma or even finance. My background is more in media and technology. I won't tell you how many gray hairs I have, but I've been working for over 20 years now in media with many different clients like Dr. Phil, Oprah Winfrey Network, Hulu, Conan O'Brien. He's a great one of my faves. And then during that time, I actually started getting involved on some side projects with some different tech startups in San Jose, California, and just fell in love with the tech industry. I really was passionate about how to marry technology with content. And ironically, that's exactly what Narrativa is. It's all about AI technology helping to create the best content that you can have to really help build our brands, right? And that's really what it's all about for clients.
It's really cool that kind of the lawn arc led you to a company where really it's the nexus of both of those things. And yeah, I have to agree. I think that Conan O'Brien is one of the all-time greats. But I also think it's interesting talking about the genesis of Narrativa and the focus on data readiness and kind of mapping the data in the right place. And especially this is a huge potential obstacle that people run into all the time in heavily regulated spaces, healthcare, financial services. It's like, it's great that you can empower people with AI and do so many things with AI now, but it's almost not effective if you get to an endpoint where you can't trust the data. And so I think actually starting when you did and having that focus on data early on probably was a superpower for you guys now, because I feel like there's so many firms that have spun up even in the last 3-4 years that see all the cool upside of AI as a technology, but forget about the foundation of data that it's all built on and how important that is. So.
Yeah. I mean, like, we have a very regular saying that we share internally at our company is garbage in, garbage out. So like, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you have garbage data, you're not going to get great content, right? But I I always say data is gold, but if you get data that's not clean, hasn't been warehoused, it's like the raw gold that you would get in the dirt, right? Out of a mine. It has to go through a purification process, all right? And then once it's purified or cleaned, then from there, you actually still have to refine it. You still have to actually then turn it into currency, right? So I say, like, your data is gold, but you have to learn how to use it properly. So in order to get the output that you're looking for. Yeah.
I really like that analogy. Yeah, you probably don't want to show up in a gold brick to any store, but you definitely don't want to show up with a clump of dirt and rock that may have some gold like in it.
Yeah.
They're just going to look
Exactly.
at you and laugh.
Yeah.
So I think that use case, some of the benefits you were talking about with Narrative are a lot more apparent nowadays even than maybe 7-10 years back. I guess, how did you guys first see the gap in the market and decide to build Narrativa out to address that gap?
Yeah, there were several gaps. So, our first use cases were not even in pharma. We actually first started in media, marketing, and gaming, like sports betting. So, some of our founders came from the sports betting industry in Europe, and they saw a huge need for ongoing, fresh content, written content, especially like if you read, let's say, a sports betting article or a Wall Street Journal stock index article, okay, you're going to have lots of data points, probably at least close to 100 in one article. Now, going back to data, those data points are crucial for creating a fully generated article. Let's say with an AI software like Narrativas, if we can actually use or map correctly those data points, that increases your accuracy of the output. And so those were the first use cases because those types of articles or that type of content so data heavy, that presented itself very well as a first low hanging fruit. Wall Street Journal was one of our first clients, Dow Jones. And so we started generating stock market index articles. It just seemed a natural fit. From there, we did those very well and then started working with insurance companies, same, very similar kind of structure, template structure, where they have lots of data points, right, for quarterly reports, annual reports, et cetera. Well, then from there, we got a really big knock on our door in 2019 from Sanofi, Merck, Almirall, TCS, Tata Consulting Services, and they said, hey, we see you guys are really great at turning data into text for highly regulated types of content, finance, et cetera. Could you do this with clinical trial regulatory documents? And we were like, yeah, we probably could. We had no clue. None of us on our team were from pharma. We were all techies. So we dove in and we first had to just study the structure. I mean, that's what you really need to do when you're working with AI, especially, or anything that's needing to do data mapping. You really have to make sure you understand the structure of what you're wanting to generate. And so we studied the structure of these different types of clinical reports. And the first ones we started with, like a patient safety narrative, is a very data heavy report. Every patient has to have their own patient narrative report. So if you have 1,000 patients in a vaccine trial, guess what? You have to generate or manually type 1,000 patient narrative reports. Each report can be 3 pages to 30 pages long. So every medical writer, a human medical writer, has to sit and manually type, going back and forth multiple screens, looking at the data and writing the report. It is so time consuming that it takes thousands and thousands of hours, man hours, to generate this. Many medical writers are pharmacists. They have to have the expertise, so they're at least $300 an hour. So these are expensive medical writers, okay? Hence why people wonder why drugs, pharmaceutical drugs, are so expensive. There's so much manpower that has to go behind this whole process. AI comes into the fold and we see, wow, if we correctly map with a knowledge graph. Now, a knowledge graph is a database that has relationships between the data points. So when it comes to a clinical report, You want standardization. So you have to have an extra component like a knowledge graph, which we built one specifically into our platform so that every data point is 100% correct. So then you go from 20 hours to write 10 patient narrative reports to then you can write it in literally under 1 hour. So the time that we are saving is just exponential. We find areas where there's a lot of high labor intensive work that's data related. And as many other AI vendors are seeing, that's where AI is going to do the best work. It's not going to replace the human, it's going to assist the human. And we always say, this is your assistant. It is going to help you to do better work, to have more of your day back, and actually get the solutions or, let's say, a drug to market faster when it comes to like clinical trials.
That's super interesting. And I love that you guys weren't intimidated when Big Pharma comes knocking on the door, because it can be a very complex ecosystem and problem set to solve. And I guess from there, as you scaled up and even found some potential other niches and industries that you could serve, what types of levers did you pull to get that growth?
Being 10 years old, we've raised less than $2 million in funding. We are profitable, which is huge. We've been profitable the last 2 years. I think for us, we've really been a very lean and very, very efficient company. And we have really leveraged relationships. And there's several. Hopefully, if founders are listening to this, please take this as a great encouragement. One of my expertises as a person, as Jennifer, is I am not your best data scientist. I am not your programmer. There are many things I am not. But one thing I know I'm really good at are relationships. And I know that for me, I can use or leverage relationships in a greater way, not to use people, quote unquote, but to really use their gifts or their connections to benefit our company. And then vice versa. I always say, like, it's every relationship's a two-way street. If I'm going to use someone's kindness, or their expertise, I'm definitely going to pay it back. I would say one thing I did that was really smart, and this is what I tell younger or newer startups: create an advisory board. You want people who can see your blind spots. I said, I'm going to just create an advisory board of people, experts from industries who really know what they're talking about, right? They have at least 20 plus years under their belt in that industry. They know a lot of people in that specific industry. They have relationships that they are open to talking to about Narrativa. I can share what's happening, the good and the bad, and they can give me that feedback. So I would say that's one of the best things you should leverage. Try to find people who are not yes men, but they will tell you the honest and kind truth. Also, I would say for me personally, if you're a founder, you need people who are in maybe a similar industry who can be your buddies, okay? And you can text them when you're having a hard day and you're like, man, I just lost this client, or I just bombed this demo, or whatever. You can just text them, say, hey, how you doing? Do you have 10 minutes or do you have half an hour to talk? They're outside the nucleus and they can actually be great sounding boards. I think more founders need that because you do feel very alone when you're in the process.
Yeah, the psychological burden is real, and you don't always just want to transfer that burden to other parts of your team. So it is nice to have someone that can still understand the context of the situation that you're in, and even if nothing else, like have empathy and that you can vent to. Since you're in highly regulated areas, I know initially regulators were a bit more skeptical about leveraging AI solutions. Now I think we've almost gotten to the point where regulators themselves are using some AI solutions for their operations. Like, what have you seen as far as trends in that space now?
Yeah, I would say that right now, like for example, the FDA, they're using some new AI tools, which is great for QC and validation. I think this is a no-brainer. I think it's going to save a lot of time, but it's actually going to help increase the accuracy, right? And actually help increase the quality of the work that the regulators can do. Now, I talk to a lot of young people at like NYU and UCLA and other schools. I tell them, if you want to be indispensable, you need to really build your AI skills now. Like, don't wait. Don't wait to go to MIT. Don't wait, whatever. Take an online course. They're free courses, free certifications. In fact, Narrativa, we started one that we're going to be launching soon. About 6 months ago, I just realized I'm like, my client teams are overwhelmed with trying to absorb and understand just even the basic elementary knowledge of AI. How can we help them? And this is beyond just the training on our platform to use it for their work, but just as people, right? How can we help increase their confidence level when using AI? And so Narrativa developed what we call the AI Confidence Training Program. And this is specific to different types of users. So whether you're a medical writer, a marketer, a media or a journalist, for a media company, you can have different teachable courses that we've provided that will help you to become more and more confident. And with that, you have a certification that then you can put on your LinkedIn, okay, saying, I am AI Confidence Certified through Narrativa. There's so many courses like that on Teachable and Coursera. So I would say that's one way people can become indispensable.
I think that's great advice for people, especially like they can be the first generation that's AI native, right? And so if you can double down on that while you're younger, like you'll be able to produce so much value just right out of the gate. So I think it's cool that you guys are being a part of the change to help outside of just like directly training on how to use your solutions, but different vertical driven education on AI. That's great. So from a go-to-market perspective, what types of things are you doing now that are working well? And then what are some things that are frustrating for you?
Yeah, yeah. So, it's ironic because, if you look that we're a 10-year-old company and, we haven't gone into super high numbers yet, but we're tackling the most challenging use cases of, like you said, the most regulated industries. And so I would say now it's really exciting because the last 2 years, well, last year we had 60% year over year growth. And this year we will have 60% year over year growth, which I think is a really big statement. It sounds funny, but like for me and for my founding team, we are so excited because that shows we're doing something right. We are solving problems that are a big need. One big key thing, and I would say this for any founder, and I would say this for VCs to hear also, is that sometimes you may have a great technology, but the market is not ready. So the thing is, okay, you have to be patient with yourself, but you also have to be patient with your market. So your market may take a longer time to actually be ready to receive and then adopt and utilize and integrate your technology into their everyday workflow, okay? So for example, in pharma, the average tech vendor, once they are signed with a large pharma, they're in for at least 5 to 10 years. And then they don't change. They don't like change, okay? They have so many other priorities, which is important, like our health. They have so many other priorities that guess what? They don't want to change to a new vendor. It takes a long time. The average sales cycle with a large top 30 pharma sponsor is at least 2 to 3 years. I've been lucky. I've had some go in 6 months, okay, to sign. That's like unheard of. All right. But it's all about market readiness. And for us, we tried a little advertising, nothing stuck. Okay. Like Google ad search or buying different LinkedIn ads, etc. Nope, no real big response. But what really worked, again, and this is like I'm a broken record when I say this all the time. For me and for my team, it really came down to relationships. Because we were so early in the market with this AI solution, I realized I needed to build their trust. Okay. So I went to event after event, didn't even have to speak. I spoke at a few, that was fine. But I really just wanted to be there to build relationships. And now, guess who's calling me? All of these people who I've built relationships with for now 6 years. Okay. They have my cell phone, they have my email, they're on LinkedIn. I'm always touching base, every 6 months. Hey, how's it going over there? And how are you guys doing? I know you're working on your internal AI product, but if you have questions, you hit a roadblock, give me a call, right? I'm not here to shun them. They're trying, right? They're trying to build something themselves, but I'm here to say I'm here for you. And guess what? They do call. They do come back. And as, one of my executives on my team, he always says, it's just no for now. And I'm like, yep, that's right. It's just no for now. Stay positive. And that's where you need those outside friends, those people you can go vent to. Go take a run. I always say running is a happy place for me. It gets my adrenaline and my, serotonin levels back, and it gets me back in that positive mode. Do something so that you say, you know what? It's no for now. I'm going to keep building these relationships because one day it definitely will pay off. So as of right now, we have spent very, very, very little money on any advertising. We've only gone to events. Ironically, we get all of our leads. We get on average, I would say 10 to 15 new leads per week, all because of our website, our SEO. We generate articles using our platform. We generate new articles every single week. Then our team, like me and others, we repost them on LinkedIn. We get this traffic. All of that helps bring new leads every week. So we're getting on average 10 to 15 solid hot leads every week because of that.
The best marketing is, referrals or inbound, right? If you can be someone that's not selling and someone's just there to add value when people need you, that's the best way to create those long-term relationships. And really, eventually it might turn into something. And it's good that, one, that you're dog fooding kind of your own technology, but also that you have something that can enable that content generation from an SEO perspective. I guess on that point, and I feel like this is a hot topic to a lot of folks lately when you talk about SEO, is kind of the GPT engine optimization. If you talk to a Google, until recently, they would say search traffic is actually continuing to go up, right? We're not losing out to GPT, but if you talk to anybody that's actually using AI, a lot of things they would have normally put in Google, now they're putting into a Gemini or a Claude or ChatGPT. So I guess, has that influenced the way you guys approach SEO, or have you seen dramatic shift there lately?
Oh, I should totally talk about AEO, artificial engine optimization with AEO. And we have an article actually on narrativa.com about it. So if people want to see it, you can go to our LinkedIn or you can go to our website and find it. We have built out like our own Narrativa knowledge domain, okay, in ChatGPT. So we keep adding to it more and more information. And so as people are searching, it will grab information from the knowledge domain to actually give those AEO answers at the top of, let's say, Gemini. And so what we're finding is that we actually, ironically, that's helping us to be found more, right? And I think this is like the new era. And ironically, we're now helping a lot of clients with new tools that our team, our development team is creating to help them to create an AEO dominance using these types of LLMs that they can put in a knowledge domain and just add as much information about their products, their services that they want to be searchable. Please do it now. There's so much there that you can just add in and just go into ChatGPT, create your own private knowledge domain, add as much information in there as possible, all your sales decks, your white papers, any thought leadership pieces are going to get you a lot of traction. So that's what I would say. It's a little bit of food for thought.
Make your data attractive to the AI, right? One of my questions to you is, obviously, you can serve multiple different industries. How do you determine where you focus the team's efforts? Are there any metrics you rely on, or how do you think about that?
Since narrative has been so spread thin for a while because of so many verticals, we're now focusing, we're looking to really divide the company into both pharma focused and then a non-regulatory focus. And we have some big announcements coming soon about that in Q1, but it's going to be exciting because then we will have more resources, separately divided and allocated to be much more focused, right? To really grow quickly. So we're realizing, like with pharma, it's such a time intensive, managed type of service that we still have to provide because it is very regulated and they have to even house a private instance of our platform within their own private secure cloud environments. We need to make sure we're servicing the industries in the right way. So pharma is going to be really different than media. All right. Media is going to be more of a SaaS style platform. But I would say we're really excited for 2020 to have more big announcements that we're going to be making. And I really think the markets are ready now. The honeymoon phase of AI is coming to an end, which I'm so happy about. That sounds hilarious coming from an AI founder, but I'm ready to get to work. Let's like all the hype. All right, it's cool. Now let's get to work.
100%. It's time to put AI to work. But I guess, where do you see the business moving 12 months from now? Where do you want to be?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping next year we have at least 50 to 60% year over year growth again. We also will be doing a larger, probably a Series A next year. So if anyone's listening and they're interested, just give me a call, contact us at Narrativa, and we'd love to, talk with you to see if you want to be part of that round. I think it's really time to take it to a bigger scale. And we're even, tossing around the ideas of maybe even acquiring other smaller complementary vendors to provide a bigger end-to-end solution for our clients, because that's what everyone's looking for, the utopian dream.
You mentioned acquisition, but let's say that you got a blank check and it's like, here you go, off to the races. You got all the funding you need. How would you think about deploying that capital?
Yeah, I would say at this point, we really want to use the capital to hire more people. We really need more account managers. We need, just maybe a few more developers, but really start doing that marketing that we were talking about. We haven't spent hardly any money on really big marketing campaigns or advertising. And we're like, wow, imagine if we did have a huge budget, what we could do. I think we could really have a hockey stick moment once we have more funds to be allocated towards marketing.
Makes sense. And as we wrap up here, the last question and a half that I want to leave you with is, was something that was pleasantly surprising along your journey that you didn't expect? And then what was something that you thought, this is going to be easy, and that was surprisingly difficult?
Yeah. So the unexpected good thing, I say unexpected relationships, the people who unexpectedly came to support me in times where I'm like, wow, I was not expecting this person of this caliber, right? And this title to take time for me. If a great advisory board, but there are several on there who I would have never dreamed that they would be on my advisory board. And they are. And it's just, I'm humbled and I'm blown away by their presence, because they're just such big leaders, but also forward thinkers in the industries. Then I would say I've had some setbacks that kind of were disappointing, where sometimes the client that I thought was going to be the big one that was going to sign a multi-year contract didn't happen. Those were disappointing. And then also sometimes some folks that you hire that you think you're going to really have for the long run in your team, they end up not working out for different reasons. And so sometimes those are disappointing, but you just learn, you know what? You wish them well going forward on their path, and then you just keep going on yours, and look for other folks to join your team.
100%. Yeah, I think it's interesting that both of those on the plus and negative side are still relationship centered. So again, I agree with you. It's like the importance of relationships can weigh both ways. So I think that's a fun place to end. Where can people find more about what you guys are doing in the future and potentially connect with you?
Yeah, I would say you can find more at narrativa.com, narrativa.com. And then also go to our LinkedIn page. We are always posting new announcements, press releases, updates, articles, educational articles. So I hope that everyone can find us there too.
Perfect. And we'll try and leave a link as well to the AEO article and a couple other things that you mentioned below. But Jennifer, thank you for the time and look forward to speaking soon.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.